Binge-worthy. Once again, Mr. Binge is going to tell us what we should binge watch when we have the time. You can catch him here on Al in the Afternoon and on Binge-worthy TV on Facebook.
We've got him as Lewis Binge, and he's back up and doing his Facebook thing. So, Lewis, I've been following along. Of course, I do on the Facebook page. Mr. Binge, TV Guru, the writer. That's what you should go with, right?
Correct.
All right. So go to that, the writer. When you do that, you'll start noticing Mr. Binge is putting all his stuff back out there. He's your best favorite thing to binge.
Your sound's gone.
I'm sorry?
I can't hear you. Your sound went mute.
Try that again. Man, I'll tell you, sometimes
There you go. You're good. You're
I'll
good.
tell you, it has issues, but we're all right. So anyway, they can catch you on Mr. Binge, TV Guru writer, and you're starting to post movies again. You're binge watching, and that I love your page. I think people should go there, just look at it, take a look around, you'll see what we're talking about. But this next category, Binge, you keep saying with this Ed Sullivan thing. I had a conversation with about 4 folks since last week, and you mentioned you were going to do musicians from the Ed Sullivan Show, and they all thought. First, it was like, well, could that possibly be? Then we had this whole guessing game. It's got everybody peaked up. I like this category. I like this very, very much.
Well, we did comedians, as you remember, last couple of weeks on Ed Sullivan Show, and it reminded me because I was a young lad, preteen and a teen through some of these years, that we sat through Ed Sullivan basically. Waiting for some rock and roll. We wanted to see our artists. You couldn't see them at the time. You had their albums, you listened to their music, but you couldn't see them. So it was a thrill to see them on live television. And he had almost everybody beginning in 1955, all through the whole, he started in 48, but from 55 to 71, he had almost every major rock and roll star that there ever was. It was
I haven't gone up and looked, but I would presume Elvis Presley, if I'm not mistaken, it was Ed Sullivan Show. Elvis went on there for the first time, did his little jiggly jig thing, and they about got him taken off the air. And was it Ed Sullivan where he did, like you say, people didn't know their artists until they could see them on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Elvis was on several other shows before Ed.
Okay.
Ed didn't want him to be on because he felt he was unfit for television, and he did not want to do it and have Elvis on. And the pressure got to him, and people wanted him on so bad that he finally agreed to have Elvis on. Paid him an unheard of amount in 1956 of $50,000 to make 3 appearances. But when he was on the show, through most of the performances, he would only show him from the waist up because it was too inappropriate. Now, in today's standards, you see it and you're like, what? Who cares about that? But in 1956, it was scandalous. But I will say, I read that Ed was a big fan of Elvis, and he really liked him as a person.
Oh, that's very cool. All right, and he's not our first artist. I just brought him up because I remembered that. Let's go to our first artist from 1965, I believe.
55.
No, I can't be.
55.
55. Bo Diddley. I'm a huge fan of Bo Diddley. Now, I didn't see him live in 55. Don't get me wrong. But big fan of Bo Diddley's.
Bo Diddley was the first rock and roll entertainer to be on television, and he was on the Ed Sullivan Show. Bo wanted to sing his signature song, Bo Diddley, but Elvis asked him to play 16 Tons by Tennessee William Ford. Bo Diddley agreed to this, and then as soon as the camera started rolling, he sang his signature song, Bo Diddley. Ed was so mad that he felt he was double-crossed, and he never let him come back on the show again.
No kidding.
That's a great story.
Well, you know what? Give Bo Diddley a little credit. You're getting your big break. I mean, Ed Sullivan Show, that was huge. And to lie, for the better term, on what you play right to the guy's, handshake or to his mouth, face. That's amazing. I'd never heard that story. Wow, really?
And it was a great performance in 1955, but that was the first time a rock and roll entertainer was on TV, what I read.
Oh, wow. That's very, very cool. Yeah, big Bo Diddley fan. I need my Basset Hound Bo Diddley back in the day.
Really? How
Yeah,
cool.
because I liked him that much. All right. Our next guest. Oh, everybody's going to like these guys.
The Animals. The Animals?
A cold rising sun, and it's been the ruin of many old boys. And God, I know I'm one.
The Animals in the House of the Rising Sun on the Ed Sullivan Show. See, this is better than I thought. It's amazing that these groups are that old, because I'm sure I've never heard them in 64. If I did, I was, just a knucklehead kid. These guys, they're all that and then some.
I remember this. My cousins were older. I was preteen. My cousins were teenagers, and they came to our place and they gathered around the TV, and because the Animals were going to be on, I didn't even know who the Animals were. And they sang this song, and we were like, "This is awesome." And remember, when this song came out at the same time as the Beatles were big, when they were singing "I Love You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah." The Animals were singing this kind of stuff. So they were an incredible band, and I became a fan instantly. And Ed Sullivan made them a household name.
The Animals. You could see when you get to watch it if you watch the video. He was excited to introduce them. Ed Sullivan, in my opinion, was not the greatest introducer of folks. I would say that Johnny Carson had a way of introducing people like nobody's business. Ed was the other guy. The Animals, he had a smile on his face like nobody. He was happy to have them on that show. Let's go to break here. We've got 3 very big ones coming up here. Can we go to break and we'll talk about them after that?
Absolutely.
We've got a Mr. Binge TV guru on Al in the Afternoon. I would have thought that'd been a cigar today.
They haven't come today.
You didn't get yours?
No, they didn't come, or I would have been smoking a cigar. So
Okay.
Probably in the morning.
All right. Yeah, I got my package last night.
Oh, cool. I'm anxious. That'd be awesome. Thank you for doing that.
I didn't want to share that. As long as I was ordering, I ordered some for myself too. I mean,
absolutely.
Don't let it take away from the fact I wanted you to have some, but no, really. All right. All right. 1 minute out.
Okay.
Afternoon, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
We're rolling along with Mr. Binge, TV guru. Catch him on the Facebook. He's got a great Facebook, best one on the internet. We're going with the list of great bands that were on the Ed Sullivan Show. We talked The Animals. We talked Bo Diddley. This next one, I like the song. I don't know if I think it was my greatest band. You want to introduce the next one, Mr. Binge?
Is this the Fab Four?
No, this would be Vanilla Fudge.
Oh, Vanilla Fudge. You'll recognize the song. You must be looking at different playlists than I am. But Vanilla Fudge, a great band, came out, was that say 67 or 68?
68, yep.
Okay. You'll know the song. They're a great band. I don't know much about them personally, but you'll recognize the song for sure.
Internet calls it psychological music. Psychedelic rock music. All right, I got to be honest. We played enough of that. I have no idea. I was never a big fan, but it keep me hanging on. If you ever got to it, that'd be good.
Ed was not a fan either. Ed did not like a lot of the music from the later 60s or from about 66 onward because it got harder and harder. But his ratings were there. People were watching. For example, when the Beatles first appeared on there, they already were huge in Britain, but they were not well known here. Or actually, they're pretty well known, but they weren't big here yet. And the first time he had the Beatles on, 73 million people viewed that episode.
Wow.
1/3 of the U.S. population tuned into Ed to see the Beatles.
See, and I think that's what you started this whole list off with. You know, a lot of folks like the comedians and they're fine when they came on. But a lot of folks, the younger folks, really did tune in for one reason. That was to see these people that you didn't get to see in concert unless they came to your city. You didn't get to see them in concert. There wasn't the internet and stuff. You really want to see what they look like and what they performed like. You got them on Ed.
Absolutely. And the teenagers, and us preteens, tuned in to the entire show, just hoping there would be a rock and roll band. We were waiting to see. So we sat through all of the craziness with the plate spinners, the comedians, the animal acts, all that kind of stuff, just hoping there'd be a rock and roll thing. I'm sure they promoted the heck out of it beforehand, but as a kid, we didn't see that. We didn't know what was coming on until we watched it.
Completely agree. Our next one, I think, very much became an artist because of the Ed Sullivan Show. It's Janis Joplin. She does sing in this, right, Mr. Binge?
Yes, you'll be singing quickly, I think.
It's Janis Joplin on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Come on, Janet.
It's maybe with Janis Joplin. I don't know who wasn't a big fan of hers, actually, in reality. Everybody loved Janis Joplin.
As I get older, I actually like her better than I did in the 60s and 70s.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Even as a kid, as I write, I knew who she was. But as I grew and mellowed in the verses and what she's got, she was very good.
She was awesome. She was kind of the early Amy Winehouse. She was a lot like Amy Winehouse, personality-wise as well as talent. And I like her more and more and more. But I did see this episode with her because, again, my cousins were a big fan of hers, and I didn't really get it in 1968 or 9,
Yeah.
whenever this came out, because I was a kid. But I recognized I should like her because my cousins did, you know.
What's sad about this next one and our last one for the day is our kids, the next generation, although heard of him, didn't know who this guy was. This guy was the bomb from the Ed Sullivan Show.
Thank you very much. Ladies, gentlemen, we'd like to do the song that was my very biggest record last year. I mean, it was no bigger than the rest of them, but sold a few more. And we'd like to tell you that to all the people watching, and all you people that are here tonight, that we really are thankful for all the success that you made us have and everything. This is my biggest record, and it goes something like this. You know I can be found sitting home all alone. If you can't come around, at least please telephone. Well, baby, for me to you, man.
You know, it just kills me about this one, Mr. Binge, is folks, again, past us, will never know what that young man, and by the way, looked humble as all get out, and you know, you can see why the ladies went crazy for him. They will never know how huge that human being was on this planet. You know, for the next generation, maybe it's Michael Jackson, you know, as far as being somebody that was iconic. That guy from that show on became enormously huge and famous.
Elvis, has been stated many, many times, changed the world.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson was a big star. Even the Beatles were big stars. Beatles and Elvis are the only ones that really changed society. And he truly changed how America and how the world looked at music and fashion and everything else. His performances were awesome in Elvis, and he came across as he was. This is early Elvis.
Yeah.
So it wasn't when he became what I consider, and many have said, that he's a parody of himself when he became into the jumpsuits and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And kind of became, well, it was literally a parody of himself. But
Yeah.
this is the true Elvis, and it's incredible and interesting, like I said earlier, that Ed liked him so much. He was so opposed to have him on, but he liked him because he was a gentleman.
And what's different about Elvis, and we do this a lot with a lot of the bits, even the comedians, he didn't just sing in one brand of music. It wasn't, he did some soul, he did some rock, he did country, he did gospel music. There wasn't a genre that he couldn't tackle that didn't go to number one. And then, oh, I don't know, I'll join the army for a while, come back with some army type, you know, beats to his music. Then he, I guess what? You know what? I'm going to go to movies and all the Hawaii movies. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing he could not do that he touched it was gold.
Well, when he went to the army, most every other actor in World War II and after, it killed their career. They never came back as far as a star. Elvis didn't miss a beat. As soon as he was back, he was huge again. So
I remember as a kid, I wouldn't have been all that old. Remember videos of him getting his hair cut when he joined the service. It was
my gosh, it was a big deal for Elvis to join the military, and he was so well liked because he was a Southern gentleman, and he was so well liked. And I think that was part of his appeal and his fame was people like Ed Sullivan liked him, so they had him on. They had him on numerous times because it was all about who Ed liked and didn't like, until the late 60s when Ed got kind of forced into like, well, people will watch this. Okay, we'll play it.
I think you really hit on something though about him becoming a parody of himself at one point, and there's the big Elvis versus the little Elvis and dying with drug overdoses. To be that skyrocketing high all the time for as many generations, it had been 30, 40 years. This guy was just on top of his game. It's hard to do that, and it's a tragic end. And we see a lot of that with these big stars. But he's one Ed Sullivan made absolutely famous.
Absolutely. And one of my most interesting stories I ever heard about Elvis, which is an obvious one probably, but Elvis, when had his first hit, he walked down the street of Memphis and he heard it coming out of a record store, his song. And they said that was the last time he ever could walk in public his entire
Wow.
life. And that
Wow.
just is startling to think of how that could change you as a person, that you could never be seen in public again without a mob.
Wow, that is something. Lewis, I love this category. Thank you very much, man. It's a trip down memory lane. We'll do it again next week. Fair enough?
It's a boomer dream come true.
That is Mr. Binge, TV Guru. Follow him on Facebook. It's under Writer.